What, he played 2 games, got an assist and a goal?
Yep.
That's good work. That's good work for Justin Robida. And wouldn't it be nice if we could just end it there and go, all right, Canes, and then they also play tomorrow, and not talk about the rest of it?
Back at it.
Not exactly peaking or heading in the right direction as they move towards the postseason over the last 4 or 5 games. 2 losses over the weekend. At Detroit was a 5-2 loss. At Boston, a 5-1 loss. Like I said, not great. And if you dive, just surface level stats, no power play goals, that's something that had been moving in the right direction and then obviously took a step back. No goals for Aho and Jarvis, but 2 games, too small a sample size to get upset with that. No points at all for Taylor Hall, same thing. The goalies are the goalies, and we'll get to that. The injuries are piling up a little bit, which I think is not what you want at this time of year. Kotkaniemi kind of added to the mix with some boo-boos and some owies, some kinds of bumps or bruises that we won't get a ton of information on. But the overall vibe of the so far 2-game road trip for the Canes is not great. Not great. Rod Brind'Amour spoke to the media today, and let's jump to the second clip here, Dennis. He summed up the 2 games that were both lost on the road.
We haven't played it actually poorly on the road. Like, I look at those last 2 games, I didn't mind them at all. We be honest, a couple bad goals on both those games, and the game might be a little different, but I didn't mind how we played. So we definitely got to be sharper than we have been on the road as a whole. But I haven't really can say, our game's so much worse on the road. I don't find that.
I agree, right? And sometimes just because they've won so many darn games at home, It's like by contrast appears as if they are playing really, really poorly on the road. The past 2 games, I'd say there's been some really poor play, but overall on the road, I'm not looking at them with any kind of anger. I will say that the juggling of lineups with all the injuries in and out is fascinating, yet also not ideal. Rod Brind'Amour again today talked about that exact thing, juggling the lineups with the postseason coming up.
Got to try to stay focused and. We've got a lot of guys out of the lineup. That's not ideal either, but it's, I don't know what the lineup's going to be tomorrow. So you can ask me. I don't know who's available yet. So it's tough when there's all that going on, but when we put ourselves in a good spot that, inevitably it's not going to matter, right? We're going to get to the next phase. So it's just trying to stay focused and get healthy.
It's so funny how life happens. And by the way, some were saying this extremely loudly, and it was and is a good point. But we talk about all these decisions that the Canes are going to have to make when it comes to lines, who's skating with who, and these 2 are playing well together, who's going to be the third. And then all it takes is one awkward check into the boards, or one, I didn't stretch well enough and I felt something tweak. All it takes is something like that. And not that the questions are answered for you, but the questions change. Right, the questions can be completely different. Right, we knew Carrier coming back, and by the way, he did skate with the team non-contact jersey this morning at practice. Not to say he'll be back, but on the way. We knew Carrier coming back could throw off the lines. Kotkaniemi, though, if he misses any significant portion of time, all of a sudden that changes everything. And the question isn't about who's the healthy scratch. It's first who's playing center. Right, it becomes a completely different question. Completely different. By the way, I did bring it up here in my notes. The Canes at home, talking about, are they playing better or worse on the road? At home, they are 38-1, which is absurd. On the road, they are 16-18-3. So they're actually below 500 on the road and 38-1 at home. That's dramatic, right? And even if it doesn't appear as, they're not necessarily playing that much worse on the road, it's like, part of the proof is in the pudding. You want a reason to keep the pedal to the floor to get home ice as long as you possibly can. For sure. in the postseason. There it is right there. There it is right there. So injuries, that's one story. That's something that's not ideal. The other, the goalies. Because right, the first loss of the weekend, that's on Kochetkov, meaning he was in net. Second loss of the weekend, Freddie was in net. Kochetkov has allowed 18 goals in his last 4 starts. That's enough to me where the context becomes less important. Because as a fan does, and I am a fan of the Canes, during that loss on whatever it was, Friday, I tweeted out like, man, it's when it rains, it pours for Kochetkov. And there were many fans saying, well, it's not like the guys in front of him are playing great tonight. And that's true, right? That's true. Not all of those, the most recent goals on Kochetkov are considered softies. But 18 in 4 starts is enough to where you get to the point where it's like, well, you got to stop the puck. I'm bail out your teammates, get lucky once, right? Like just flail your arms. You might make 18 goals in 4 games is enough to where, context starts to get thrown out, right? If you want to talk about, it was windy that day, so the pitcher gave up a bunch of home runs because the wind was blowing 30 miles an hour to dead center straight behind the hitter's back. All right. If he gives up, 5 homers a game over 6 games, it's like, well, guess what? I can't turn around and say all of the concern can be attributed to wind. So at a certain point, you got to keep the ball in the park. So Kochetkov, at the very least, didn't right the ship on some struggles he's had recently. And then Freddie, who has been a ton better, and I was trying to explain this to Dennis, completely involuntarily, I'm worried about him now. 5 goals allowed versus the Bruins. First of all, Bruins, not great. 5 goals allowed makes me unnecessarily worried because in the scheme of things, it's one game in the middle of a really strong stretch for Freddie, and I shouldn't be worried. But what's the rom-com saying, right? The heart wants what the heart wants. My nervous system gets nervous for what my nervous system gets nervous for. I can't always control. My logical brain can be sitting up there giving me all the analytics and all the stats of the last 9 starts he's had, and he's been good, and he's been doing this, and he's been doing that. As we get to the postseason, if he has a bad start, my brain can't help but go, whoa, uh-oh. I'm worried about the goalies. Everything else, I trust Rod to sort through. They're going to have new lines, the injuries that they'll deal with. As Rod said, that doesn't matter. The games are going to be here when the games are going to be here. The goaltenders, I'm worried about.
That's fair.
And it's
100% fair.
It's the only frustrating part about it is name a postseason in the last 5 years we haven't been worried about the goaltenders.